Hi, and welcome back to another ARC GIS help session for 2 for 1. At this point in the course, you should have a map that looks like this, with strike data, with the different beddings, all put in well, all with nice symbology, and that covers your map well. Now, the next step is to make it presentable. We want to be able to have one image that we can send to people, and that be what they can and that's all they need to understand the geologic area. Now to start this, you want to go to Insert and you want to look at New Layout. Now ArcGIS has these like uh, example layouts that you can use, but for this course we'll just be doing a plain layout. Now, an important consideration to make is the size of your map and how much area you want to include. Now, for me, I'm going to include this square area where all the information is. And so this looks like it's more for a landscape type of layout. Whereas if the data was all vertical, if it was more vertically taller than it was horizontally, I would use a portrait layout. Now, for the size, it doesn't matter too much, but I would stick to A4 or A3 as that is easy to insert into documents and whatnot. And so I'm going to go ahead and add a A4 landscape. You can also be adding an A4 portrait if you'd like. Now, once this is done, it's going to open a new tab on our thing, our bar here. And so this is the layout. This is this is what we're going to be sharing, and imagine it like a canvas. The previous maps, you can tell they're maps by this little icon here. These are representations of the real world, and a layout is just a representation of a piece of paper. And so we don't want just a blank piece of paper. We want to populate it with our map. And so you go to Insert, and then you click Map Frame, and you can select here. You can also draw a shape if you'd like, but uh, I would go against that right now. And it doesn't matter what you select here, you can always change it. So I'm just going to select the first option that comes up, and I'm going to roughly cover this much of my map. And now you see it opens up. It might not be where you want it to be, and that's okay. The first thing we want to do is we want to double click on the layout here, and we want to make sure it's in the map frame thing, it's on the map we want to display. And so for me, that's the structural map. So once I click this, it's going to automatically center to where I want it. But this isn't what I want to see. This isn't the total area I want to see. And so now you can right click and press activate, or you can do a shortcut by just pressing Q on the thing. And now this will activate the map, which means that now it's saying that I'm controlling the map, which means when I zoom in, I go in, when I zoom out, I move out, and if I click and drag, I move around. And so from this point, I just want to center it roughly with the data that I want to include. And for this and for the rest of this entire video, it's important to understand that ArcGIS is a science and an art form. So you will have to make a lot of decisions that aren't quantifiable. Like they don't have one answer. It's up to you. And so for instance, this, if I do it like this, or I do it like this, maybe one is slightly better, but they're they're still roughly the same. So once you're satisfied with the extent of the map, you can just press Q again, or you can click that layout button over there, and we want to deselect the map. So now we have a blank piece of white paper with just a little insert of our map. But this doesn't tell the audience anything about the map. We want to have a title, we want to show them where the map is, we want to show them who made it, when it was made, what data was used to create it. We want to add a scale, and we want to add a legend, which will explain everything on the map. Now, to start off, I'm going to start by adding a scale. A scale and a north arrow are the easiest things to add. Now, ArcGIS has lots of options. So you go to Insert, and then in the Maps Around um, area, you'll see a little scale bar icon, and you always want to click the drop down. This will give you all the options, and this is very up to you. I would steer away from Imperial. You can do dual scale, which I think is kind of nice. But just stick to the metric one, I would say, and pick what you like. I'm kind of a sucker for this one. This is my favorite one. But maybe you'll really like this one, or you'll like single division. And so you click on it, and you have the option of where you want to put it. And it doesn't matter too much. Just put it near the map. Um, and there we go. Now we have a scale bar. But obviously the question is it for our map frame? And so we do the same thing as before. We double click on the scale bar. It'll open this element tab, and we want to scroll down until it says scale bar map frame. We want to make sure it's the map frame that we have. And this can be confusing. When you leave it as the names it is, it can get somewhat confusing. So you might want to go ahead and rename this as um, main map, maybe, or just something to remind you that what it is, because maybe you have multiple maps, or it can get confusing. That way, you know for certain that it's triggered for this. And a really easy, nice way to tell that it's working is you go back to the map, activate it, and then zoom out. You'll see the scale updated. It was 0.12, now it's 0.16. So I can just fix that up a little bit again. And that's just a really nice way to double check it's working. See it updates. And so once we have the scale bar, we'll move on to the north arrow. Same thing again. You go insert, maps around, right click, and you have a bunch of options to select from. Uh, Most of the ones down here have a they're not used for geologic maps, although these might be. Um, and the compass roses are for sailing, so not needed for this. And so I would just stick to a very simple plain north arrow. I like this one, but you can also use this one. You just click on it, same as before. You just drag roughly where to put it, and we'll just put that next to the scale bar. Same thing. It's the main map. You can change the type of north that you want, but for this, I think just keep true north. But if you need to, you can add map north, magnetic north, things like that. And with that done, then we can move on to the legend. Now, the legend I always find is the most difficult thing to add to a map. It starts off fairly easy. You just select one of them and you drag it on. But then the legend becomes quite annoying because it updates with what you put in, and also the names are based on what you put in. Now, if you add your legend and you see the names are odd, they're like they might have tools you've used on the end, or they might have unwanted information. And so to get rid of that, you just want to go to the main map, go to the icon, so you see strike and dip. So I can double click and it will open this, or I can just single click, and I can just add one here, and then you should see it. There we go. It will update to one there. So that's how you change the names if you want to. I don't want to name it that. There we go, and it removes. Uh, and now this is an all right legend. But as you can see, the icons aren't great. We will get back to that later. Because like for the stream, it doesn't have the arrows. So you can't, it's lacking some information here. And maybe for the strike and dip, you'd like to explain that the little number is the dip. Um, but already our map has improved a lot. We're showing the map, and we have it with the necessary things to show how far a unit is, where north is, how it's oriented, and what the different symbols mean, roughly. It could be worked on. And next we'll be adding the graticule to the map. Hi, and welcome back. Okay, so now to add the graticule, you're going to want to click on the map frame, and at the top in Insert Map Frames, there should be an option for graticules. Now, this you can select what you'd like. There are some interesting options of what you want to do. Um, but I would stick to just the latitude and longitude. Measured grid is also good. It's up to you what you'd like to do, but you add it and it should automatically populate the map. Now, this doesn't look that nice, right? We have it's too many units up here. You can't even it's hard to tell when one unit begins and one ends. And so to change that, we're going to click on automatically adjust. That's the first thing you want to do. Then you want to go to grid lines. You want to click off sync values because we want the top values. My map is a lot longer than it is taller. Some of yours, it might be the opposite. It might be a lot taller than it is longer. So we want to change this. We want to make the map look, so that doesn't look too bad, right? Maybe we do two. No, two looks too space. I think three is good. Three looks like equal on both sides. And so now we want to remember this ratio, 3 to 1. Because then we go to labels, we want to do 3 to 1 as well. There we go. Now it looks a lot cleaner. Ticks as well. You want to change this to 3 to 1. And ticks one, the small ticks we can, ticks one we can leave. That's okay. Now when you zoom in, you can clearly see the latitude and the longitude and where it is, which is super helpful because let's say someone wants to know the intersect of here, then they can really easily just look here, look along there, measure where it is, and then they know where it is, which is really awesome, as you can imagine. And you can change this more if the color of the gradicules doesn't look good for you. You can go to grid lines, scroll down and click on appearance and change them. You can make them thicker, you can make them thinner. Um, it's up to you what you do. You can also change the color, but I would slightly avoid that. It depends on what symbology you've picked for the background. Now, for me, I've picked quite an unfortunate symbol for the limestone or dolomite, which makes it harder to tell the horizontal lines. But it's not terrible. It should still be usable. Also, now you'll probably experience issues with spacing. So the gradicules I find add a lot of unexpected space. So you might have to readjust everything to make sure they still have space and whatnot. Okay, so now we've pretty much made it all the way there. Now we just want to add helpful information. So the first thing we want to add is a title. We want to add a main title and then a subtitle. Um, so you want to add a big piece of text, which you get from insert, graphic and text, and then just click the rectangle text. Now open this box. When you open the element for the text, you'll see the text here, and you can name it geologic map. Uh, so we have the name geologic map for Warren Creek and Northwest Territories. So I would come up with a name based on the original map and what the function is. And you always want to mention where it is in the main title. Now, to change the size of the text, you want to click on this text bar and you want to go text symbol and you make it bigger until it works. Just move out the way. Just it's a bit annoying. Uh, so that seems the perfect amount. You can make it centered, you can make it not centered. That's up to you. You can also change the font if you'd like. Any font is on here, even some really, really strange ones. But there's some really good ones. Like I'm just gonna pick an example. Oh, wait, that's not very nice. Uh, Here, Bell MT, that looks nice. Um, and once you're happy with that, you can add in your secondary title, subtitle, which will be a bit smaller and will provide a bit more information on what this map is for. And so here I'd like to say like, yeah, Sigma Redstone Mines Limited, using ARC GIS Pro software. There you go. And you want to do the same thing. You want to go to text. You want to increase the text symbol. Maybe do a bit more. And you might want to add a bit more information, but it should be looking good, nice and proper. And now you have it looking nice. And now there's the last thing to add is metadata. So you want to go here, you want to add another piece of text, put it somewhere, make a nice little blob. And you want to add the information of who it was created by, date, uh, date created, um, the data source, but for here there is no data source that you can cite or that I know of. And then you also want to say the spatial reference. Okay, now for the first two things, I hope you can answer them without any help. Just put in your team members who helped and the current date. And then for spatial reference, how you obtain that is you go back to your map, you right click on the map, you go to properties, and you go to coordinate system, and it's this thing here. So you just want to type that out somewhere, copy and paste it over, and then put it as the spatial reference. That way, if people will know what projection we're using. And once you have that all sorted out, you have everything that's necessary for the map, everything that's needed. You might want to make the legend a bit more descriptive, like add in the edit step. You can just do that by adding a piece of text. Another important thing is for the legend, when you're happy with it, you can convert it to graphics, which then allows you to edit it a lot better. You can increase the size of every patch. Um, oh, that's weird. Um, for streams, as an example, you might want to show them a longer section so they can see what it looks like. Or for example, my limestone section here, get bigger so they understand the whole pattern. Same with calcite. Obviously, you'd want to adjust these so that they look better and they don't just look like randomly put together. So you would want to move the text and everything. Um, but once you're happy with that, you don't have to convert it back to a thing, but that way you have it as a graphic, which allows you to do a lot more tinkering with it. That's a little tip of mine. And another really nice tip I like to do is I like to add color to my map slightly. And how I do that is I add a piece of text and I cover the entire map with it. And then I don't even use it for the text. So I delete the text and then I click on this down thing and I go to the background and I select color for it. So first you want to move it, make sure it's at the bottom of the list. And that way my maps just look a little bit, they have a little bit of something to them. Obviously you want to pick something not painfully or not something that would interfere with the symbols, like confuse the reader at all. But once, you can make it look really quite nice. Uh, Here's an example of what I did before. So I added a background to just the legend, and I added a background for the whole thing. I also provided a bit more information in the legend. And I added the spatial reference. Yeah.